Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pat O.
Pat O. We're solo dolo this week, huh? Um, I don't hate it. I miss talking about your weekend. How was your weekend?
Oh, geez. I actually had the most amazing weekend that I've had in a very, very, very long time. It was a perfect storm. Obviously, Labor Day weekend, so it was an extra long one. That's always nice. I had a show on Friday. Went to go see Apocalypse Hoboken. They're a Chicago punk band that friend of the show, Lee Jacobson, like JacobsonLegalServices.com, and I used to go see all the time in high school. We'd tell his parents that we were going to the Chicago Ridge Mall to go see a movie. We would take the car and we'd drive all the way to the north side of Chicago to see Apocalypse Hoboken at the Fireside Bowl. They broke up in the early 2000s, and since then they've reunited once every couple years to play like a one-off show. And originally they were supposed to play this July or June or something, and the lead singer got COVID, so they had to reschedule it till this Friday. And man, did we have a fucking blast! I was gonna do, because obviously this is like the first like punk show I've been to since all my heart stuff, and I've always been like a pit guy, and especially with Hoboken, and I was kind of just gonna stand off to the side this time and watch him. And Lee was like, "Absolutely not, dude! Like, we're getting up front. Come on!" And yeah, spent an hour and a half singing every word to every song. Smashed from like a couple hundred people behind me, pushing me forward into the rail, and could barely didn't die, which was a plus, and could barely walk the next day. But man, was it worth it! I have not used those pit muscles in my legs for quite some time, and it was fucking awesome. It was that thing that you get from being in a crowd of a couple hundred people singing and chanting or whatever in unison together, and um, it was really really good, and I really needed it. And I recommend all music fans out there, if you haven't gotten back to seeing your favorite bands play again, to please do that, because you have no idea what you're missing. So that was Friday. Saturday, I two things, I guess, noteworthy things happened. Number one, I had my biweekly shrink appointment, which I've been seeing a therapist off and on most of my life, and for reasons that any fan of the show should not need pointed out. And I got to say this, man. It is. I never explain it any differently to my kids when I'm going. My wife will be like, "Oh, Dad's got a doctor's appointment." It's like, no, I'm going to see a shrink, because I want to normalize mental health care, and I want to normalize the fact that yes, I'm a 41-year-old guy that pays somebody to listen to me talk about my feelings once every 2 weeks. And maybe some people think that that's fucking stupid, or whatever. I don't care what the fuck you think about it. It's something that I do, and it's something that helps me a lot. And Saturday helped me a lot, and it was a really good session. And sometimes you just go in there and like you talk for 45 minutes. Sometimes you're really kind of getting something out of it. And this weekend was really good. My Saturday session was really fucking good, and I was even in tears at one point. It was like fucking phenomenal.
Good. I
Yeah.
am a huge supporter of every single person on this planet needs to be in therapy. Everybody.
Oh my god, especially like us, like our generation, everything that who we had for parents, and the fucking shift there between like the way that our parents were brought up and now the way that we were brought up, and the way that we're bringing up our kids. And like you know uh culture changes really fast now, and there are things that were acceptable in our parents' day and age that are not acceptable now, and we're kind of caught in the middle of that, right? And yeah, man, there's a fucking I think anyone, I agree, I think therapy is good for just about everybody, but I think if you're in your 30s and 40s, it's probably good to check in with somebody. So that was Saturday. Sunday had D&D, which was really good. It was the first in a 5-part campaign series that I'm running up at Rock Island Public House, with the place operated by a friend of the show, Mike Vanderbilt. And it was good. A lot of the old players came back from the last time I ran it, and some new people were there. And I love performative storytelling. I love I love the whole D&D thing, and it was good to kind of like write. And we're using Spelljammer, but it was also a lot of homebrew. It was a lot of content that I created myself just for the game. So having the players really respond to it was awesome, and having them, when they laughed and when they got really excited and when we were kind of firing on all cylinders, because it's collaborative storytelling. It's not just me kind of rambling to the players; it's them giving me stuff back, and we're deciding what the characters are doing and everything. And we really hit our stride, and we're collaborating well together, and that always felt good. And then today, Labor Day, I took the kids to the Museum of Science and Industry and just had a family day with them, which was pretty good. They had this. The only thing I want to mention from that is they have this. They have this like I'm not IMAX, but it's like a dome theater that you go in, and we watched some like half an hour documentary about underwater caves narrated by Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle fame. And man, fuck caves in general. I just it was like having an anxiety attack just being in that theater watching these divers swim in these like dark underwater caves and shit. Because taking like water samples has something to do with global warming or some shit. But it made me think of Hellier a little bit, and how I'm not a cave person, man. You can't get me to do that shit. So that was my weekend. New episode of Y2K Movies dropped today. Or it should be out now when you're listening to it. We talked about The Empty Man. 2020's The Empty Man, which is a movie that I had never fucking heard of before. And it was a major film that, Fox put it out. It got a theatrical release and just kind of hit during the pandemic when everyone was hiding in their fucking cellar and completely just disappeared. And man, is it worth checking out. It's a 2-hour plus horror movie. And I can't think of too many horror movies that even approach 2 hours outside of like Silence of the Lambs, let alone go over it. And this one does, and this one is really good. It's got, I don't want to, if you listen to the Y2K Movie Podcast, we pretty much spoil everything. And this one we did not, because I sincerely want people to go out and check this movie. It's streaming on HBO Max, and I think a couple other places too. But yeah, 2+ hour horror movie, very much reminiscent of True Detective and Angel Heart. And I don't want to say much more besides that. But definitely check that movie out and then listen to our podcast episode about it. And I'm excited that we finally worked out your appearance. So I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. We got to get together with Daniel. But the next batch of shows will have a very, 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 very special guest. Your friend and mine, Ashers. And
That's right.
I can't wait for that.
It'll be great. It'll be a great episodes, actually.
Yeah. Well, no, it's one. And so we're going to start doing monthly double features. And not only are you going to be our first guest, but you're doing our first double feature. And I won't give away the theme of the double feature, but it's very, very unexpected and unique. But I don't know. I guess you're kind of the Anne Hathaway of podcasting, I guess, maybe.
I don't want to be Anne Hathaway.
You're the Anne Hathaway of paranormal investigators or something, or I don't know.
I don't think that's a compliment.
I don't know. I like her. I think I'm actually a big Anne Hathaway fan.
I don't know anything about her.
Oh my God, she's fucking nuttier than squirrel shit. She's like a theater kid, and she's fucking all over the place. I was very ambivalent towards her until I heard an episode of WTF, Mark Maron's podcast, when he interviewed her, and she opened up about just what a fucking train wreck she is. And it really made me fall in love with her, because goddamn do I love damaged women. And she's real busted up. So I don't know. Well,
so you're saying it's not a compliment. Okay. Wow. Thanks, Patty.
You know what I mean, baby. Don't get crossed.
Oh, Jesus.
It's all good. How was your weekend, Asher? How was your Labor Day?
I'm roughing it. I'm having labor of the soul. It was okay. I didn't really do a whole much. I've been trying to watch movies that everybody else has seen that I haven't seen. I've been trying to do that for many years, actually. I watched Terrifier for the first time ever. And I mean,
Terrifier.
yeah.
Okay.
Have you not seen Terrifier?
No, 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 no. Completely. I've never heard that word before.
What? That's
Yeah.
shocking because I watched this one because it's like it's like new. It's like a new horror classic. It's a newer movie. It came out, I think it had like a weird release. Like it was a super indie film. It came out in 2016 and then had a wide release in 2018.
Hmm.
And it's like the new thing. You've seen The Clown. It's a clown movie.
I'm looking at it
And
right now, and yeah.
you've seen that guy, right? He's a part of, the classic Freddy and Jason and Ghostface. And, he's like a new guy. But there's a sequel coming out. And so I thought that it
Yes.
was a good time to, watch the original or whatever. And, it was okay. It wasn't bad. But, you know, Trick or Treat is also another one of those movies that now is like everybody's staple in Halloween movie time, or just it's become again a classic, and I really didn't like it that much.
No, it wasn't that good.
I
Well, it
really
was it was
didn't like it.
interesting because it had like Brian Cox. It had a really good cast, but yeah, it was not. And then it's got that Pumpkinhead kid that I guess was kind of iconic that it introduced that
Yeah,
everyone. But no, that Trick or Treat fell short. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, listen. I fucking love horror anthology. I do. I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of that. That's my jam right there. But this one did it differently, and I'm not going to knock them for doing it differently. The way that they did it, if you haven't seen it, which probably most people have, but if you haven't,
Right.
they're all the stories in it are tied together, and but not like directly tied together. It's just all this weird fucking shit that's happening in this weird fucking town on Halloween night. That's what it is. And I didn't like that. I did not like that. I enjoy my classic, obviously, which it's difficult, but you compare it to something like Creepshow, which is probably the best of the best anthology horror, right? It's the tops,
Hmm.
where there is an obvious start and stop to these stories. Okay. So me watching it, I expected some tie-in at the end there. And I think you do see some of the characters later. I can't really remember. It's been a couple years since I watched it. Anyway, but I wasn't satisfied with the way that the stories were ending. So I just didn't. I feel like it was incomplete. So I don't hate it because it's new. A lot of people don't like a lot of new horror. There's a lot of new horror that I do like. That just wasn't it. So Terrifier is something that I kind of, I was dragging my feet on because, oh, it's new. Oh, I'm not going to like it. It was pretty good. It's just a gore fest. That's all it is. There's really no rhyme or reason to why this clown is fucking killing people, but it is, and it's fine. So I was here for it. I'm gonna watch it again because I just kind of had it on the background, but so I can actually watch it this time. But it was fine. So I mean, check that out. But we also did. We've been trying to catch up. Red and I, friend of the show, catch up on Joe Bob's, and he had recommended that we watched The Baby, and then I was like, hey, Joe Bob did an episode of The Baby, let's watch that. We missed that one, let's go watch it. So we did that. We hung out and watched Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, which is fucking a great movie. It was amazing. And then there was The Baby, which was good all the way up until the end. So um
Oh man, if
you know
you and I have talked about the baby
so
so
much.
much over the past 2 days when you saw it.
Yeah.
I can't even pretend that we haven't enough to like rehash that conversation for this show right now. All I could say is that you did not like the baby. I love the baby, and audience members, maybe you'll be somewhere in the middle. I would definitely recommend checking it out. I understand why you didn't like. We're not gonna have to rehash that shit,
No,
but
no
go.
spoilers.
Yeah, it's worth. It's kind of weird. It's kind of kinky. Not really. It's not super
Yeah.
dirty. You know what I mean? But it's just it hints at it. It's got that flavor.
Listen, if you want to watch a dirty movie and you want to feel both turned on and dirty at the end of it, watch Forced Entry.
Ooh, the title alone is
It's a porn. It is a porn, but it's horror porn. It really is. That's what it is. Watch Fourth Century. Just
Oh.
don't look anything up about it. Just go fucking watch it. But just be aware that it is a porn and it's hardcore. Um, it's both.
All
So
right. Well, the baby
yeah,
is not a porn, but it's
it's not a porn.
it's an exploitation
It
movie
is.
from the 70s, and just check it out. I think it's on Shudder. Oh.
Yeah, it is. It's on Shutter. Go watch it. I think you can probably get it anywhere for free. It's not. It's just anyway. So that's what I did this weekend. I've just been doing a lot of work on things. You guys can check out the Patreon for this month's exclusive episode of Weird World, which so far have only been over on the Patreon. You cannot listen to this show anywhere else but by giving me your money and then listening to it. This month's episode was on California. So we talk about all kinds of very fun things from there. I mean, if you know anything about the cryptid and weird world, you know that a lot of shit happens in California, and we talk about it. Just some of the topics include, Patterson Gimlin film, the Fresno Nightcrawlers, the Battle of LA. Go check it out. Just go listen to it. You want to hear it.
The Dark Fellows or whatever. I forget.
Dark Watchers, the Dark Fellows.
Yes.
Oh God, you did not just say that. Yes. Yes, the Dark Watchers. A lot of fun stories though there. Definitely go check that out. Lots of things are getting ready to happen on the Patreon. I am adding stuff. I'm adding a lot of new stuff, and you don't want to miss it. So go over there and subscribe. I also did an episode with Chris Holm, the guy with the furry episode that you guys heard. Yeah, he's got a podcast called Conspire Theory, and we talked about a lot of things. I don't even remember what all we talked about. Pat O knows. He listened to it, but
it was good. You guys talked about me, so of course you had. I was hanging on your every fucking word. No, it was good. He had us on back to back. My episode is just basically about movies, and your episode is a little bit more nuanced, and it's more about you and the show and all your different experiences and projects and stuff. So it's a good double shot if you want to hear us both separately talk about ourselves, and then so go listen to it. Chris,
if you like hearing us talk about ourselves, then there's an opportunity to go listen to us talk about ourselves some more. But that was it was fun. It was a good episode, so check that out. Also, I did not plug this in the last episode, and I absolutely should have, because he's also on the docket. We've been nominated for the Best Fortean podcast through Paranormality magazine.
Yes.
So, listen, we have to win this. I can't tell you why we have to win this, but I'm telling you that we absolutely have to win this. So
I agree.
And vote for this.
And I'll tell you why I want to win it. Purely spite alone. That's it. Yeah, Spite's my number one motivator for just about everything.
It definitely needs to happen.
Yeah.
So go vote. I will put the link in the description. If not, you could just, I think it's paranormalitymag.com, and it's the first thing that pops up, the podcast awards. I mean, if you follow me on social media, then you've seen me post about it. But I'm going to continue to post about it. Go vote. Go use all your emails and vote, because we need to win this. So I'm just telling you that if we don't win this, I might quit the show entirely. I'm just
you're gonna take your ball and go home?
Take my ball and go home. Yeah, I'm gonna be a sore fucking loser. I'm gonna spend a week in my room crying, and it's gonna be all your fault because you did not go and vote with all 10 of your emails, and I know that you have.
Exactly. Come on. When is the deadline? Is it like
September 10th?
Holy shit, that's coming up. That's Friday, isn't it?
You got whatever 5 days from now is.
Saturday. Yeah, so definitely. If
Go
you're
vote.
listening to this show the day that it drops, which of course you are, hit pause and go vote, and then make some more Gmail accounts and vote again, and then have everyone else vote. Send us screen grabs of you voting, and we'll send you screen grabs of stuff back.
Okay. Yes, we'll do that. We will send you screen grabs of things. Guaranteed. If you send us a screen grab of you voting, then we will absolutely send you some back.
You know what I'll do? I'll send you pictures of people's feet wearing our flip-flops, because I got tons of those fucking things laying around.
Nobody's going to vote. Don't say that. Nobody's going to vote for us now.
Well, it might be that, or it might be, I don't know what.
You can Google feet pictures for free, Pato. They're not getting nothing out of this. Come up with something. Send us screen grabs of you voting, and we'll fucking. It's a mystery prize. You get a mystery prize.
Yeah.
So there you go. But go vote for us there. Um, what else? Was there anything else? I can't. I don't think. I don't know. I've been doing so much lately. You guys have no idea.
Talk about some of the events. You got like 9 events coming up.
We got so many events coming up. I will be at the 2022 Mothman Festival, but I will not be vending or speaking or anything like that. I'm just going to be walking around, so you can talk to me at your leisure. Which is kind of why I'm doing it. But I will be there. Pat O may or may not be there. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
You can also meet Anne live in person. She'll be there also. So come talk to us, take your pictures, whatever, do the thing.
Potato Ann, is that because she's Irish?
Potato Ann. No, it's just because we were fucking out of our minds, hungover and drunk at the same time during CryptidCon weekend, and we were just talking about dumb shit. It's just because. Potato Ann will be there, so there's that. I can't say the weekend after that what I'm doing. What I can say for sure what I'm doing. October 1st, I'll be at Mysticon at the Ravenswood Library in Ravenswood, West Virginia. So definitely go there and definitely check that out. Man, that's going to be very cool. I'm super excited. Ravenswood Library underestimates this library. I've never been there, but just looking at like their shit that they post on social media and stuff, like it's a really neat place. So tons of other people will be there. My buddies Ron and Joe from Wild and Weird West Virginia, they'll be there. They'll be one of the speakers. So lots of neat people. And then the weekend after that, I will be in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, which I guess is I think it's part of Pittsburgh. I don't know. Never been. But I'll be there at the Wonders Expo talking both days, the October 8th and October 9th. So check that out as well if you are in the Pennsylvania area.
I could be wrong, but is Monroeville, Pennsylvania, where they filmed the original Dawn of the Dead?
Is it?
Why don't you keep talking? I'm going to look that up.
That makes me very excited. My nipples just instantly through the shirt.
Anytime we record. Shut the fuck up. Let me just...
Whatever. That's not, but okay. You just call me a dumb bitch.
No! Jesus!
I'm going to chew your head off. I'm going to murder you. Over the air. Telekinetically. I was going to murder you.
I would never say that to you.
I would be like, oh my God, Pat O just got fired, guys. And you heard it here. No, I'm just... let me know about that. And then also I have I am teaching a class on cryptozoology. I believe that's October 18th, or I'm sorry, 13th. Let me figure that out and I will let you guys know exactly when that's happening, but it is a virtual class. It is part of I believe it's a 3 or 4 part workshop. So I assume you have to take the whole workshop. And it's just on other things as well. Not just that, but one part of it, I'm teaching all about, how to be a cryptozoologist and what you do and what to take with you and how to investigate and, things like that. So, that is really cool. I'm really excited for that. Very different opportunity. I'm excited for, I think
so. Yeah. Monroeville, Pennsylvania is the location of the mall from the original Dawn of the Dead, and actually they turned it into the George Romero Living Dead Museum.
What?
Yes, I'll shoot you the link right now, you dumb bitch. And
well played.
I'm not going to overuse that, but goddamn, is that a good stinger? I'm going to bust that out every once in a while. Next time we're loaded together, I'm going to drop that one in front of fucking people.
No.
And they're going to be like, what?
You could do it once. That is the one time that you can do it. I would absolutely not do it again, but I'll let that one slide because it was well placed.
I played my DB card. That's it. You only get to say it once. All right, fair enough. So, yeah, Monroeville Mall. I just sent you the link to it. But the Living Dead Museum is there. So while you're checking out Asher's, do that whole thing. And then...
fucking let's go together. I'm going to that. I'm doing it.
It's open till 8 p.m. So
I'm fucking doing it. I'm just going to be like, look, I got to leave early. I got to go to this thing.
Yeah.
This museum. That's fucking cool. I had no idea. Very neat. So that's everything that I have to plug right now. I'm trying to get better at that. You know, all these like podcasting gurus and people that make like thousands of dollars per episode and things like that. That's what they tell you to do. I mean, do you guys mind it? Is it aggravating? Is it frustrating? Or, do you understand that you enjoy what I do and you would like to pay me to do it? Because I'm a little agitated by it myself.
No,
You
I
know,
don't think I think it feels unnatural to us because we are not salesmen at heart. We are intellectuals, or we're content creators, or we're people that make stuff, you know? And people that make stuff and people that sell shit are two different types of character classes, right? And sometimes to put on that people that sell shit hat, you feel a little hoarse, it feels unnatural, right? And I know what you mean, where you're like, oh, I'm annoying these people, they don't want to hear. But I think it's important to do, because you got to remind people, that we have new merch up in the t-shirts and the Teespring thing. And I actually went through it Friday night, because when I was sitting at the bar, the bartender was wearing a Stay Weird shirt, and I could have swore that it was one of ours. That's how fucking loaded I was. It wasn't. Spoiler alert. She was not wearing a fucking On Wednesdays We Talk Weird t-shirt. But I was so delusional on drink that I honestly believed that this random bartender on the north side of Chicago was wearing a t-shirt from my podcast. And I went through our whole, because we sell them at the live events. We sell shirts like that, but it's not the same thing, because the one that we sell have eyes on them.
yeah.
And the one she was wearing did not. So who would have thought it? Two motherfuckers thought of the idea to put Stay Weird on a t-shirt and sell it. And
I did
whoever,
that because I stole the idea. It's popular.
yeah, it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the inventor of the tuxedo shirt. I'm sure there's like several different versions of that. Anyway, I went through our Teespring and I couldn't believe all the new merch that we have for sale and all the new
Yeah.
t-shirts. And you can get backpacks now.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
The
That is
backpacks
so.
are the shit.
I didn't even want to look at how much. I'm sure. I mean, nothing against Teespring, but everything's kind of a little jacked up there. Which is why you should join the Patreon, because if you
Yep.
plan on buying merch, you get the discount code for the merch when you become a member of the Patreon. And I'm sure that if you plan on buying anything from us, merch wise, signing up for the Patreon first to get the discount code will pay for the Patreon. I'm sure,
Exactly.
for like 2-3 fucking months.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so that's how you do that. But yeah, I want to get one of those backpacks. And I love that you can get the backpacks with like there's like 4 or 5 different styles that you can get.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely doing that. If you thought the fanny packs were cool and you thought the flip-flops were cool, the backpacks.
I'm telling you,
That's
I don't go investigating without a backpack. And
right.
it's not one of ours, unfortunately, because ours are so expensive and I need you guys to give me the money so I can buy one. But if you would like to cash out for PayPal or Venmo me some money to buy one, you can. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
no,
We need to start a Patreon and buy our own merch. Like
that's,
fucked up.
I
Yeah, I don't
mean,
blame
that's
you.
what it goes towards, is to just market myself. It's to buy fucking equipment. None of it goes into my pocket. I don't make
Yeah.
anything really. Travel, we were just talking about this. You guys have no idea how much it costs to go to all these events. It's fucking crazy expensive. So your money, I mean, it goes towards things that are important, if you want me to keep doing what I do. But also, yeah, sign up for the Patreon. You get a 30% discount from the merch. That means I make nothing from it, but you get a great discount, but I make it through the Patreon, so it's fine.
And you get a quality backpack.
You get a quality backpack. They are really neat. We got a lot of cool shit there. We've got the On Wednesdays We Talk Weird logo. We've got the Injured Cold Stay Weird done by Jonathan Dodd. We've got the
awesome artwork. Yeah.
We got the Jersey Devil, wanted posters, t-shirts. We've got Ivy the Alien over there.
Mother Nature's a serial killer.
The Earth is Alive and it's a serial killer, which is a fucking killer t-shirt with a tree line on it. Ask me about my podcast. So if you're a podcaster and you want to draw attention to that at any event that you go to, get an Ask Me About My Podcast t-shirt. It's a great icebreaker, just for any time. I mean, tons of shit, tons of really cool stuff over there.
And if you're in need of a Halloween costume this season, pick up a On Wednesdays We Talk Weird backpack, and you're like halfway to a Dora the Explorer costume.
Yes.
You need a purple shirt and some fucking shorts and a little monkey or something.
Just get you the fucking backpack and a cowboy hat. You're a cryptozoologist. Easy said, easy done. Listen, if you
All right,
dress up, if any of you people dress up as a
you people.
cryptozoologist with on Wednesdays we talk weird merchandise, there will be a prize involved. It is a mystery prize. I don't know what it is yet. I just thought of this on the spot, but there will be a prize. If you dress up as a cryptozoologist or any type of Fortean field investigator for Halloween this year, and you use on Wednesdays we talk weird merch to do so, send me a picture. There will be something. I don't know what it is yet, but there will be something. It'll be very very cool. So
Oh, if you turn the two of us into a couple's costume, if you convince your significant other to dress up like, I don't know, whatever, one of the two of us, if you and your partner dress up like us for Halloween, um, I'll give you my car.
say that it's gonna happen.
Or a lawnmower. I'll give you a lawnmower. How about that?
A lawn.
I don't want to, or a hedge cutter. See, it's getting more and more. It's getting cheaper and cheaper.
Oh my
So
god.
I don't know. We'll give you something big. We'll build a shrine to you. We'll make a sculpture out of butter of you.
We'll rename the show after you. No. Figure out something. Anyway, I'm gonna stop plugging away now. You wanna do some news?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We got news. Oh, that's right. So last week we talked about clown sightings. Remember that? Remember
Mm-hmm.
that? And the week before? Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nessie, I think, heard us talking about this, and she was not fucking having it because guess who has reared her big, beautiful dinosaur head?
No way.
Oh yeah, Nessie's back, making a comeback. This is the first sighting since April. Nessie was sighted August 27th by a local resident that was just hanging out around the loch. They actually did not physically see it. They just saw a strange wake in the water, but it was convincing enough for the official Loch Ness monster reporting website to put up as an official report of a sighting. So, but yeah, they didn't actually see it yet. So she wasn't having it. So I think we summoned her.
I need to look into that. The whole summoning her was a Aleister Crowley thing.
It
I know I
was.
brought that up before.
You did.
I never looked into it, and now this may have motivated me to look into it.
You have to look into it. I think we summoned her. Yeah.
Yeah, a
I think we
redhead
did.
woman standing on the shores can summon her, or that's what. Because
Yeah.
red-haired women. Did we talk about this? Sophia, the female personification of God. Did we get this deep into it? Redhead women are
I
supposed
know
to be
about that.
okay. All right, well, whatever. I don't want to hijack your news segment. I'm sorry. Go on.
That's okay. I just know about it because people come to me all the time like, "Oh, you should go to the fucking loch and summon Nessie because you got red hair." And I'm like, "Okay, sure."
Mm.
I have to sing to her. I don't know what I'll sing. Something very sexy.
Will Smith. I mean,
It will probably be Will Smith getting jiggy with it, um, or Men in Black. So anyway,
ICP.
it'll be
Your
some-
Juggalo mating call. Whoop whoop.
Jesus. Well, anyway, so Nessie, Nessie's made a resurgence, and we'll see. But obviously, we are very far away from the record-breaking year that we had, last year.
Yeah.
Because again, this is the first sighting. This is only the fifth sighting this year, and it's the first one since April. Which tells me, my theory on whether or not these things, migrate in and out of the loch. It's got to have some truth to it. So, there's that. So Nessie. And then I talked last week about a Bigfoot body that was found
In
allegedly
Ohio, yeah.
in Ohio in Salt Fork State Park. And that turned out to be a big hoax like we thought it would be. So there's that. Somebody had actually found the article where this was posted back in 2016, 2017. I mean, word for word. But there's a Facebook page that is like dead set convinced on saying that this is real. Here's these pictures, things like that. So,
What are you doing?
what am I doing?
Oh, it sounded like you were doing something.
I'm not. I was saying that this was a hoax, and then you didn't respond.
Oh, I didn't know.
What are you doing? I know what you're doing. You don't need to tell me.
No, I haven't gotten that bored by today's episode yet. No, I don't know. I kind of Ohio's been so much of a hotbed lately of weird shit that I think when I heard that story, it kind of fit with my just the vibe Ohio's been giving off lately. But I think finding out that it was hoaxed is kind of also fitting with the way that most of these stories turn out. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there you go. Sorry.
Well, yeah,
Womp
I
womp.
mean, and it just is what it is. Salt Fork State Park is a hotbed for Bigfoot activity, just not the dead kind yet. We'll
Yeah.
see. I wasn't there, so obviously it's not true. So there's that. That was my news for the week.
You don't want to talk about I mean, we're in the group chat with Tobias and company. You don't want to talk about that
Oh,
whole thing yet?
the mer person.
Yeah, in Ohio. I mean, it's
Sure. Yeah.
there's fucking mer people in Ohio. There could be a dead Bigfooter. I mean, that's the way I looked at it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to. I was kind of I'm saving the bulk of it for the Patreon. So if you want like exact details as it continues to progress, again, join
Give,
the
give the
Patreon.
people a taste. Give the people a little on the tongue.
But yeah, Tobias Whalen from Singular Fortean Society received an email about a report of a humanoid type creature in Lake Erie, which is Lake Erie in Ohio. Ohio is
Mhm.
part of it. And he passed the story along to me, asked if I wanted to, take over investigating it because that's how teamwork makes the dream work. You know what I mean? That's how you work together on this stuff.
Mhm.
And of course I've now taken over and I've been, speaking with the gentleman. He just saw this. I mean, and it was just kind of a blink of an eye sighting. So, who knows? But saw this creature back when he was a young child. While he was swimming around in Lake Erie. Some of the follow-up questions that I had asked him was, what's the culture like there? Because while I am in Ohio, Lake Erie is still about 4 hours away from me. Where this happened, I have an exact location of where this happened, and where it happened. It's about 4 hours away. So I'm not up there a lot, but I told him I just have information on basically, what on just what kind of the books and stuff say, but what do people say locally about this thing? Do other people in that area, you live and grew up there, do other people in the area talk about this stuff? And he said no, actually he's never heard anybody mention anything like that.
But I
But the
feel like that's not the first story that we've heard about merfolk in that area. Wasn't
mm,
or is it or wasn't there people sending us because we did the merfolk episode? Didn't like Jim Jam and them send us some shit? But that was or was that for Kentucky?
Jim Jam sent us a video of possibly a mer person in Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what
But
I'm thinking of.
it was just an actress from they have a mermaid school there, so it was not
The
it was
fuck?
fake. Yeah. Lots of places have these mermaid people. I mean, they're like, you never seen that? You never seen the
No.
women swimming around? And I'll send you videos. I mean, you just look it up, mermaids. I mean, or whatever. Yeah, it was just a somebody practicing. It's where they hold their practices for these things. They dress up as mermaids and do like shows for people. Um, I don't know. It's like synchronized swimming, but for mermaids. But yeah, I mean, as far as Lake Erie goes, I mean, I'm not going to say that there's no other merfolk reports coming out of there.
Mhm.
This is the first time I've personally been handed one.
I got you. Okay. That I think that's what where I got my wires crossed is that when I was reading all that between you guys, I was like, wait a minute, like this sounds so familiar. And then I was confusing it with all the Jim Jam stuff.
Bessie, the Lake Erie lake monster. Some reports of Bessie are like a humanoid. They're like the creature from the Black Lagoon. Um, it's
Wow.
it's very odd. So yeah, it's not like it's completely unheard of. And then Ohio's got other stories like
Wow. The frog people from
right, the Frogman,
yeah.
the Charles Mills Lake Monster. That fucking thing is horrifying. But it happened at Charles Mills Lake, Mill Lake. I don't know if there's an S at the end of that. Just two boys saw this weird fucking creature that looked again fucking terrifying. Just Google it. Google the drawing of it. It's fucking scary, and nobody else has ever seen it ever again. Old Orange Eyes is another one that came from it's like a weird lake person or pond person or some shit. So it's not like these things are completely unheard of around the area.
Mhm.
But again, this is my first personal case that I've received of it. The gentleman has other stories to tell. So I'm very interested. Apparently his mom is a psychic medium and has been forever. So, we'll see. But I'm not going to share anything else. I'm not going to share any other details. Again, there is other stuff to share, but I don't have his permission, and his name is out there. So,
Gotcha.
um,
Okay.
I'm not gonna indulge anymore. But yeah, so that happened this week. Check that out at the Singular Fortean Society. Go to singularfortean.com to read those news stories. If you're not reading Singular Fortean anyway, what are you doing here?
Right.
What are you
You
doing?
should. It's a good companion piece to our weekly news.
Right.
You're not, getting the news from us. That's only half the story. Get daily updates from the Singular 14 Society.
From Mr. Tobias Whalen and Mrs. Emily Whalen. So there you go. There's that. Yeah, so that was my news. So this week, you guys, I mean, that we have been doing interviews with people. Something happened. So this is a really strange topic that we're going to be talking about. A great fucking story. Kind of sad
Right.
that we've gone so long, because actually the story is really good. I know people have already clicked out because they're sick of the 40-minute intros, but whatever. It's whatever. But this is a great topic. I've wanted to talk about this for a really, really long time. But it's the boy from Mars. Pat, have you ever
Right.
heard about this before this point? Before
You know
today?
what? I have. I can't tell you when or where, but I mean the story kind of has been around for a little bit, and I know that I heard it somewhere, probably on Coast to Coast. I don't think they did an entire episode on it, but I heard it at least in passing. And I think me and you have probably even talked about it before, where you brought it up.
I've talked about it, yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
I was tangentially aware.
it's a fun one. Is it true? I don't know. But it's one of my favorites, so I don't know. We'll see. There is a documentary about this, which I just found out 40 minutes ago. So, and I had no idea. I recommend checking it out. But the boy from Mars, his name is Boriska. We're just gonna
Okay.
leave it at that because it's a very Russian last name, and I have no fucking clue how to pronounce it. And I'm very
Mariska
much a
K.
white person. I'm
All
just
right.
gonna call him Boriska. That's his name. All you got to do if you're really interested in this and you want to check out that documentary or anything else on it, you just Google the boy from Mars. He's the only thing that pops up, aside from some weird fiction novel. But other than that, anyway, so Boriska was born in 1996 in Volgograd, Russia. That's probably not right either, but whatever. Um, when he was born, his parents made a lot of claims about him at a very young age, that at 2 weeks old, he was able to lift his head up all the way. Um, which, when I first read about this, I was probably a teenager, and I was like, oh wow, 2 weeks old, he's lifting his head up all the way. Pat, when did your kids lift their head up as a newborn? Do you know? Do you remember?
I mean, I really don't know. My son was a preemie, so his milestone dates are all fucked up. But yeah, I feel like that's not that far off. 2 weeks old to be lifting your head up, like that's kind of normal,
Mine
right?
was mine came out the gate lifting her head up,
Yeah,
and
that's
she's not
that's
from Mars, so
yeah.
I don't, and that wasn't, I don't think that's too unusual. But I suppose, nuance and things, it's coupled with other stuff, because at just a couple of months old, he was talking.
Hmm.
And by the time he hit a year and a half, he could read, write, draw, and paint.
Well, the drawing and painting thing is you know okay, but reading and writing, I guess, is kind of extraordinary.
Yeah, talking, reading, and writing at a year and a half. At 2 years old, he entered kindergarten. At 2.
Okay.
And they were very impressed by all the things that he knew and how it was just amazing. So he, started having this childhood, and where he was obviously very different from all the other kids. And he's a genius. He has a genius level IQ. But even at that young age, he constantly started talking. He was talking about Mars all the time. and just had so much information about it that he could not have known otherwise because his parents didn't know fuck all about Mars, but he knew all this shit about it. He knew the temperature, he knew what the land was like, he knew the fucking radiation points of Mars. I mean, he knew everything about it. And one day he sat down. I'm having trouble finding the age. That's the thing about this story, is that it's hard to find exact facts and details because they're kind of all over the place. But I know it was at a young age that he sat down around a campfire with other members of his family. They were just having a get together and whatnot. And he just fucking blurted out that he knows all of this stuff about Mars because he is from there.
Mm-hmm.
That he was killed. It doesn't seem like he was killed. It seems like this was on purpose and this was, planned. But he lived on Mars 1,000 years ago, and that he is now here to save humanity because we are going down the same path that Mars went. And Mars doesn't want that to happen to us. So somehow, which hasn't really fully been explained, he was reincarnated as this child in Russia to warn us about impending doom. More specifically, nuclear war. Because that's how he says that the Martians died. The Martians got into a world war with themselves and they blew everything to bits. He says that's why Mars is filled with radiation now. And and now he's here to warn us about that. Now, it took a while for them to get to that point. At first they just fucked up the ecosystem. But he was allegedly a military, like a fighter pilot. He was a pilot, back then. And, so now he's got military experience on Mars, and all this craziness. But again, if your kid came to you and said they're from Mars, what would you think? Pato, what would you think?
Well, I'm me, so I would kind of believe him. Whenever my kids had nightmares or whenever my kids growing up had stories about seeing monsters, I probably, did everything but like make them a guest on my podcast. Like I really would believe them and listen to them and get them to describe it to me, and I would bring it up later and see if their stories would change. I that's how I approach that stuff, but that's me, and I'm a very unique person in that right. I think most parents would maybe be amused and play along a little bit, or they would completely disregard it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, coupled with everything else that had happened up until that point in Bariska's life, again, he's a genius.
Right.
He's talking about things that nobody has ever taught him before. He's talking and reading and writing at 1.5 years old.
Sure.
If that's true, let's just pretend that that's all true, right? Let's just say it's all true because we don't know. Again, none of that had been verified. Even like the claim that he was in kindergarten at 2, there's no like actual verification of that. Kindergartners, typically your kid goes to kindergarten, at least in the US. I don't know what it's like in Russia, but in the US, they're 5.
Okay.
They're like 5. So, I mean, there's a huge difference between a 2-year-old and there's people that listen to the show that don't know kids, there are.
Right.
There's a big difference between a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. And so it's major. So I don't know. But again, none of these claims have ever been verified. There's a claim out there that he has an IQ of 200,
Right. Yeah.
which I think is actually not real. I'm pretty sure that you could score a perfect score on an IQ test, and it's not. I think it's less than 200. But I don't know. I haven't verified that. So I've known people, fucking adults, are like, "Oh, I have an IQ of 250," and I'm like, "No, you fucking don't."
228. There was a girl from Missouri when she was 10 years old. She scored a 228 on the Stanford Binet test.
Okay.
So yeah,
So it
that's
does go that high.
oh, actually, it sounds like it can go up to 400.
What?
Yeah. Well, Einstein was 200 to 225 by different measures. Elon Musk is 150 to 155. The highest IQ score is anywhere between William James Sidis be anywhere between 250 and 300. So this kid having a 200 IQ score is not completely out of
Sure.
out of the question.
out of the realm of possibility. I know there's a lot of issues with IQ scores though anyway.
Well,
It
it's pattern recognition. I always tell my kids that about when I tell them to pay attention to shit. And I'm like, well, if, pay attention to the pattern. Like, if you keep doing this and that happens, fucking learn from it. Like, IQ is based on pattern recognition,
right.
and that's it. And how well you can realize, oh, fucking this is how shit happens.
It's like
That's
how
how,
well you can solve a problem.
yeah, that's literally how we gauge intelligence is pattern recognition. So look for
Right.
patterns, pay attention to what cause and effect. And,
Which is
that's how.
silly because you could have all of the knowledge in the world and score an extremely low IQ.
Well, I mean, let's look at it like this. What are you going to base intelligence on? Is it memorization? Is somebody necessarily smart because they can remember all the fucking state capitals? That's not
Right.
intelligence. You have to find some kind of metric, and I think pattern recognition is probably one of the best ones to go off of. I mean, you could say you could verbalize that as maybe problem solving, right? But how do you solve problems? You solve problems by trial and error and realizing what works and what doesn't, and
Yeah.
realizing that I don't know I get what you're saying. There's no just like test that I love these people that like take some Facebook test and they think that that's
Yeah.
their fucking IQ. Like, yeah, it's not that simple. um but yeah, I guess you need something, and I'd rather see it be pattern recognition than memorization skills, because I don't think memorization is intelligence at all.
It used to be when I was very young, you before you started kindergarten, you went to this testing thing, this testing event. And you got your test done, and it was an IQ test, but for very young children, and that would kind of determine what path you took in your school. I did not do that with my daughter, so I guess maybe that's not something that they do now.
Hmm.
But that was definitely something that they did back then. I scored a very high IQ. I don't know what. It doesn't matter because I'm a fucking podcaster, you guys. Like, and I'm a fucking internet personality and investigator. It doesn't mean anything. So if you're one of those people that you're fucking die hard about what your IQ score might be, it doesn't mean jack shit. I'm gonna tell you that right now. What do you do for a living with that IQ? Huh?
Right. No, I had a buddy in grammar school that used to always test super well, and he used to always brag about how well he would do on all these standardized testing. But he got terrible grades at school because he never did his homework.
Me, yeah,
He was never engaged. Barely graduated
right,
eighth grade. Barely graduated high school. And now he's a truck
yep,
driver. And I'm not saying truck drivers are stupid, but I think sometimes, I mean, it's a respectable job. Definitely, I'm not shitting on that at all. But I think sometimes people get these inflated ideas of their own intelligence
yeah.
based on how they scored on some fucking test when they were 7. And it's like, dude, but if you're not a hard worker, you're not smart enough to realize how to game the system,
And if you
or
don't have experience in things,
yeah.
that's huge, and there's really no way to gauge, wisdom is what it is, and so,
Mm.
anyway, that's just my tangent about IQs. Again, don't fucking brag about your IQ score. Just nobody likes you if you do that. I promise. Just don't be that asshole.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so Bariska goes on to tell people about his adventures on Mars. Again, they had this war, they tore each other apart. He's given other details about Mars and kind of how they live. He says, as a matter of fact, they are still around now, and people live on Mars actively. What do you think
Yeah.
about that? What do you think about that
Uh,
one, Paddle?
I mean, what do I think about the story in general? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I spent all day today in the Museum of Science and Industry, and I know how you feel about the moon landing, and I know how you feel about space travel, and I know what I spent all day looking at, right? And there is this new push to uh, build an inflatable moon base on the moon. I don't know if you know about that, Moon Base
Oh
2,
yeah, I know all about
which
it.
is interesting to named after fucking anyone that remembers the Transformers movie. Moonbase 2, Jay has the Moonbase 2. Um, that was interesting. And then the Mars exploration, and they were going into it, and a lot of it they're using Alan or oh god, I don't want to say, is it Alan Parsons? No, because that's the fucking musician. Jack
Jack
Parsons.
Parsons.
His aerospace company that I bought stock in after I read the book, they're designing the rockets that are carrying our shit to Mars, Aerodyne. And I mean, and then there's Asher's over here saying you can't get through the fucking radiation belt.
Oh
It's all
my god.
bullshit, right? So my head's all over the
So
place as
hold
far
on,
as
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Let me just say this, guys. I don't really think that we didn't go to the moon. Like, if people actually think that
you have
me,
straight up said that before. You know
I
you've said
don't
that before.
think, I don't really think that we didn't go to the moon. If people did not get the joke, that's your fault. It's funny. We did go to the moon,
But
but they had to get through those Van Allen belts in order to do it. I mean, I just don't know how that's fucking possible. So, but
right, and I spent all day in the Museum of Science and History. They didn't mention thing one about the Van Allen belt. So my point
wait,
is,
hold on, wait, stop. It didn't.
no. I mean, well,
That's really weird
all the
because that's a
different
huge. That really was legitimately, Pat. That was a huge problem.
all the different displays that I looked at. I mean, all the stuff that I went, yeah. I mean, but then again, you're walking through one museum. They're not required to cover every aspect of space travel. It's just they had a space exhibit that we passed through, and it's what I kind of read the most on, because I don't. Few things interest me anymore, and that was just one of them. But
That's
my
really
my point
unfortunate.
my point is that I think that the whole the whole concept of space travel and how we're going to get to the moon and how we're going to get why we haven't been back to the moon and what our plans are for the moon and what our plans are for Mars, a lot of it. And then when you talk the stuff you talk about with the Van Allen belts and stuff, like I don't know what to think anymore. So when you talk about there being a race of people that lived on the moon or that lived on Mars that destroyed themselves, okay, that's a possibility. I could see that. But they're still there. Okay, but where are they? Are they living underground? Why don't they come
Yeah,
out?
they're living underground.
Why haven't they attempted contact?
They
What's
can't
the
come out
why not?
because the fucking surface of Mars is so radiated and so dangerous that nobody can actually physically live on the surface. Nobody can
So
touch
then
the surface.
how the fuck are we going to go there? We're not going to go there then, right?
Probably not. Okay, so 100% not in our lifetime. No, we're not going to go there. Um, are we going to be able to inhabit it eventually? I mean, that's the idea, is that we could tamper with the atmosphere there in order to make it habitable, or we could build structures there to make them habitable for us to be able to physically go there.
Yeah, the Mars thing, it's a lot of conflicting info. I feel like I feel like I don't know if I feel like we don't have our story straight on that. Like it's a little bit all over the place.
Well, we don't. We don't know a lot about it. We've never had an actual person there. So, I mean,
Right.
we still don't know. Now, Boriska's claims, these all came out in 2007.
Hmm.
So this was before we were even talking about going there. I mean, or, whatever. It's way before, now, 2007. That's a million years ago in science terms. So, but he says that they still live there. They live underground and they can't come out of the surface, because they have destroyed it with nuclear radiation. We have theories about Mars, and the theories about Mars is either it okay, this is going to be controversial, but it either could have been inhabited prior, and we're not saying with intelligent life form or anything, just it could have things that lived on it. It could have been habitable at some point, or it can be habitable in the future, or both. And we're just catching Mars in this weird cycle where right now it is uninhabitable, like the Earth has done over and over again.
I
So
gotcha. Yeah.
that's not far-fetched. It's just that we really don't know because we can't travel to the past to take a look at it. We can't travel to the future to look at it. We just know where Mars is at right now, and we can see the direction that it's going in. It could potentially be habitable later on. but there are things about it that lead us to believe that it could have been habitable in the past. So that's not that far fetched. For him to say that 1,000 years ago there were people living on it, and were they visiting us from Mars? Mars is not that fucking far away. When we talk about abductees and we talked about contactees and things like that, the beings that they're in contact with, I mean, they're out there. They're out of our solar system. They're out of our galaxy. They're far, far away, which makes sense because
Well, I'm sorry. Go on.
well, we know a lot about what's around us in general. We don't know a lot about what's far, far away. We can't get there.
This definitely has the feel of a pre 1960 contactee experience, right? Like this was something I was actually talking with my mother-in-law about this weekend. She stayed with us over the holiday weekend, and she's a big fan of the show. Hey, Marge, and she was bringing up, and one of the things we were talking about, we were just kind of shooting the shit, was how prior to Betty and Barney Hill, um, most most contactee, when people came across aliens in a spaceship, the alien had a name. They were from somewhere specific. They had a message. There was more narrative there, right? And then post Betty and Barney Hill, you started to see the prevalence of just like these like gray drones that would just show up and do things to people. And there might be a little telepathic communication, but nothing major. Not what you were seeing before then with like Indrid Cole and shit like that, right? And the idea that like he's from Mars and he's got a warning for Earth culture and all this stuff, and it's stay away from nuclear power and all this shit. It just has a very retro 1950s feel to it. You know what I mean? And I always get a little like maybe it's all true. Maybe you do have life forms visiting us from different time periods, right? Maybe you have things popping in from other dimensions. And then maybe you have things coming from other planets in our solar systems, right? Maybe you do have Martians. Like Martians is what they fucking are. They're Martians. Literally from Mars, you know? Uh, and maybe, I don't know. I don't know. But this particular story, that whole concept of it just has that retro feel to it. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. I mean, we're gonna deep dive more into his story, and then I'll give my 2 cents, at the end. But um, I can agree with that. Well, okay. There is a phenomena that happens with these abductees and these contactees where they all pretty much say that they have been given some warning message to save humanity.
Yeah.
They all say that. Um, the guy from the Pascagoula abduction came out recently, Calvin Parker, and said that. He had never said it before. Just all of a sudden he's saying that. But the other guy, I can't remember his name, that died, he's dead now. He also said that. He preached that up until the day that he died, that there was some weird, apocalyptic message that he had to deliver, and we had to be careful because humanity is slipping. And they all say that. And, so is there some truth to that, or is this just a fun thing to tell, later on down the line? I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't get the knowledge from the alien. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I think it definitely makes people stand up and listen when you're like, I saw an alien, You're like, okay. And they gave me a dire warning for the future of mankind. And you're like, oh, okay, what is it? And it
right.
makes you at least ask the question, well, what did they say to you?
Right.
Instead of just, I don't know. It adds a
I
deeper
don't
level
know.
to it. Now, maybe it is. Maybe there are all these life forms out there are bending over backwards to establish lines of communication with these random individuals to give them this super important info. They're not going to broadcast it over the radio waves or the airwaves or on the internet or write it in cursive on the White House lawn with their fucking scorching rays or something. No, they're going to pick up two dudes in Pascagoula and tell them. you know, or they're going to
Right.
reincarnate into the body of a Russian boy and have him,
Everybody. Yeah.
in
We've
one of the
seen.
most media lockdown fucking cultures on the planet. I mean,
Yeah.
there's part of me that thinks this whole story is just like a psyop by the Russian government to try to discourage us from like nuclear escalation. You know what I mean? Like they'll think like, okay, we're gonna tell the Americans that we've been informed by the Russians that they or the Martians that they need to disarm their nuclear arsenal lest we descend into nuclear war. You know, I
It
don't
could
know.
be.
We'd have to ask Jeremiah Byron on that one. I don't know.
Yeah. Jeremiah, what's the word on that, buddy?
What's your 2 cents on that one?
Tell us. We gotta
As
know.
far as psyops go, you're the king of psyops. What's
Right. Right.
you know?
We know that so there's that. Could be. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just relaying the story the way that Bariska has been relaying it. So
I got you. I got you.
I'd love to talk to him. I don't think he speaks English. I'd imagine he does, though, since he's a genius. But I can't find him on social media. So I don't know. Living in Russia and all, that's probably difficult. We're not Facebook friends. So anyway, so this was all 2007, right? That
Okay.
he started doing this, and he started getting around and talking to people and stuff like that. And this was just something that probably at the time I had heard on Coast to Coast, or I had just stumbled upon on the internet. Remember that website, Stumble Upon? I
No.
guess you don't remember that website. Stumble
No.
Upon. Really? It was really neat. It was just a website you signed up for, and like you listed all your interests, and then there was like you had like a toolbar thing, and like in your browser, and like you would hit the Stumble Upon button, and it would just take you to a random website that you might be interested in.
I thought that was a bit you were doing. That's awesome. No, I never heard that. I never heard of that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
fucking sweet. I have no idea if it's still around. It was fucking sweet. It's kind of like what Pinterest ended up being eventually, like turned into
Okay.
like that, but it was like the web. So I'd find all kinds of crazy shit, and maybe that's how I found it. I don't know.
Right.
But many years later, I got curious. I was like, whatever happened to that kid? Actually, I think it was because we were recording something for this show about it. And I think it was back during when Ivy was on the show. And I got curious and I looked into it and I wanted to see if anything ever came of that, because he had made predictions of things that were to come that obviously came and went and nothing happened. One thing that he was saying was going to happen was that the poles, the North and South Pole, were going to switch.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, it was going to cause all kinds of catastrophe, and that's a theory that we've heard talked about before by other people.
Yeah.
That's not new, but if he had never heard of that before and he was relaying that, then yeah, kind of call it was cause for alarm at the time. But we know that the poles of the earth have switched about 42,000 years ago, and things didn't really go crazy, like or at least we suspect things didn't really go that crazy. It's just something that the earth does. It's not a big deal. And it is where our standpoint is scientifically now. Who knows? It could be terrible, but obviously that didn't happen. He had predicted two major events that were going to happen in 2009 and 2013, and I believe both involved flooding. And none of those things, I mean, we're still here in 2022, right? And so obviously if there was major flooding then, and there probably was somewhere, it didn't affect us. So also kind of biblical with his prediction. So anyway, I was curious what's Bariska doing these days, and I looked him up, and he is still around and is still claiming to be from Mars. I mean, he still sticks to that story. Since becoming an adult, at that time when I was into the Bariska story, he was 11. He was 11 years old in 2007. But now he's an adult. I mean, he's getting ready to, well, he's like a teenager now.
No, I mean, if 2007 he was 11.
He's born in 96.
Yeah, so it's 15 years since 2007. So he's 26 years old.
Oh yeah, he's a full-grown adult now.
Right.
And
probably invading the Ukraine as we speak.
Bariska is 7 feet tall. And he says that's not an accident. Martians are tall.
Wow.
He's still saying, I mean, I haven't seen any reasoning as to why things didn't happen the way that he said they were going to happen, but it could be because he told us they were going to happen that way. So we changed the timeline, changed the timeline,
Right.
or something has happened and he's changed the timeline somehow. So now it's a different, but he's doing all kinds of sciencey shit. I can't remember exactly what he did at that time for a living or where the update was. I think 2021, actually last year, was the last update we had on him. Um, but a prediction that he did have that came true was about the Sphinx. The Sphinx in Egypt.
Hmm.
When he was very young, back in 2007, he was saying, there's a secret to all this, and it's behind the Sphinx ears. It's back there. You'll find it there. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? Well, a couple of years after he had said that, guess what they discovered? A fucking
What?
hollowed out piece in the Sphinx head behind the ears. That's like a tunnel that you can get into. I don't think that they found anything significant in said tunnel. But they did find that there was an opening back there that they had never found before. So, I mean, how did he know?
That is crazy.
And that's fact. Like that part, that's fact. That's real. Him being 7 foot tall, that's real. Him still saying that he's from Mars, that's real, and he still says that, and says that again. He is not the only one. There are other Mars children out here. There are indigo children, which I have feelings about. But
Why?
because most of the time, I think in calling your child an indigo child is just a way for a parent to place more importance on their special darling than there really is.
Okay.
Didn't have a follow up to that one.
No, I mean, I didn't know if there was something inherently troubling about the word indigo, or if it was just like, yeah, people are trying to act like their kids are fucking special and they're not, which is every shithead parent. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, are there indigo children out there? I guess there very well could be. They're just kids born with, extrasensory gifts. It's a very similar concept that I personally follow with numerology and your life path number. It kind of just predestines you to do great things, and but there hasn't been a lot of scientific research on it, so it's hard to say if that's a real phenomena or not. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's
Sorry, I
I
took a
guess
bite of a taco. My bad.
nothing to say. Jesus, Pat. Oh my god.
Hey, man, this dude threw me for a loop, canceling the guest show. You know what I mean? Fucking fucked up everything. Blame him. Robbie Vegas.
We were gonna have a guest, and you're gonna sit there and eat fucking tacos the whole time.
I'm trying to look for a picture of this kid now that he's grown up. I want to see his 7 foot tall ass. They did make a documentary about him that came out in 2000.
2008.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So there's some stuff there to dig into it.
I said that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 26 years old now. Um, I think it's interesting.
It is an
Yeah.
interesting story. I would definitely like to keep tabs on him and see what he turns into, and where he goes with his life. Is it real? I don't know. Again, obviously, he's made a lot of claims that weren't, and especially, when we're talking about the people living inside of Mars. People don't live inside of Mars. We would have known. We would have known. But then again, people say all the time they see all this weird shit on Mars, like that doorway. There's that doorway that we saw on Mars, and the the rat, but that was a rock or whatever. All these weird rock formations that people are like, oh, it's something. People see that shit all the time, so it's like, who knows? He says that the Martians breathe carbon dioxide, so even if they were to come to Earth, that's another thing. If they were to come here, they couldn't live here. They'd have to have specialized, equipment to even be on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, I believe. I guess I'm more willing to believe that life existed on Mars at some point, and that it left the planet for whatever reason.
It
Climate
died.
change, or maybe it
Right.
was nuclear war, maybe it just kind of died off. Maybe it came to Earth. Maybe we're all Martians, and we originated there and transferred and
Sure.
all that stuff. Um, the idea of there are people living underneath it and all stuff like that, yeah, that doesn't ring true to me. Like, I think there's certain stories that you just hear, and you're like, well, I don't know, like I just doesn't sound right, you know. And there's certain things that you do hear, and for whatever reason they resonate with you, and maybe it's because of, you know, a movie that you saw as a kid growing up, or different phobias that you have. This whole thing about the poles shifting, I remember that. Jesus, that was like, people had money on that's what was going to happen December 21st, 2012. You know, that's what was going to happen, is that the poles were going to flip, you know. That was something that I legitimately was concerned about, you know. And it didn't happen. But it's something that people, you know, gets brought up from time to time, and it's something that we know has happened in Earth's past, and, you know, could potentially happen again. So same thing with like civilization and how old we know we know how old the Earth is, but we don't really know how old civilization is. And we have a couple theories, and some people think that archaeology goes one way and suggests one thing, but at the end of the day, they're all just guesses. Like I talked early in the program about that documentary I was watching about underwater caves, and how they take stalagmites. Those are the ones that go from the ground up, stalagmites. And you drill into them, and you can get core samples. And because those are formed by dripping water, you can drill into a stalagmite and potentially get a sample of water that's a couple tens of thousands of years old, maybe even longer, right? And from that, you can figure out what the temperature was, and what the oxygen level was like outside, and all these different things, right? Or so we think, you know. That, I mean, I feel like something like that is one of those things where science isn't an exact science, you know. I could see having theories based on that kind of stuff, but whether or not you can say with any kind of high infallible probability that because we dug this fucking rock out of a cave and drilled into it, we can now tell this about what the air was like 50,000 years ago. I don't know, man. You know, I think you could probably get some theories, but I don't know if you'll absolutely know. So,
Sure.
you know,
I agree with that.
you hear a lot of stuff about the pyramids and the Sphinx, and maybe it's older than we thought. Maybe all this stuff was around for, you know, from there was a greater civilization. One thing that I kind of like to subscribe to is that there could have been a more technologically advanced civilization, more technologically advanced than we are now, that existed on this planet tens, 20s, maybe 100,000 years ago, and it got wiped out for some reason. And it could have been completely a pole shift or climate disaster or something, and that mankind has had to rebuild since then. Because that's something that if we really got thrown a curveball, if our civilization today really got thrown a curveball, we would lose everything. You know what I mean? Forget like how to build iPhones. I mean, there's people out there that don't know how to don't know how to farm. You know, don't know how to drill a well. Like, we would be wiped out. And it would be a very small number of us that would have to rebuild, and we could start from scratch almost overnight. So the idea that has happened throughout mankind's history, yeah, I'll buy that. You know, what that has to do about Mars, I'm not too sure. I just kind of went off on the thing there.
Well, at least you're honest. Wow. Okay.
I'm just saying elements of his story that ring true, elements of his story that I'm just not buying.
The very unfortunate part about the story that is so fucking frustrating to me is that it's the access to this kid, right? And it's not fair to call him a kid, but, you know, since we don't really know too much, I mean, it seems like he did all his talking back when he was a kid, and not too much now. You know, there's no way to really, there's not enough light shown on this particular situation. And that's very unfortunate. And the light that is shown on it, they're not asking the important questions. Well, okay, you lived on Mars 1,000 years ago. What the fuck happened between now and then? It's been 1,000 years. What the fuck have you been doing this whole time? Like, did you purposefully die and get sent into the future? So you're telling me that now the Martians have a time machine? I mean, is that the claim here? Nobody's asking the important questions that could either give us some legitimate fucking answers to this possible civilization that exists out there that we know nothing about, or B, blow the cover off this thing fucking entirely and be like, oh, okay, you're full of shit. or C, just continue the mystery. I mean, either way, you know, how do we get into contact with this kid? I mean, how do we ask him these important questions that I feel like we need in order for the story? Because otherwise, that's just that. It's just a story. There's no science to it at all. There's no validity to it at all without being able to go to him directly and ask him these questions. I mean, and if he's here and his purpose is to inform us, then why is he not informing us? He's doing a bad job.
Yeah, the logistics of reincarnation in general are kind of tricky, and that's why it's something that I think that certain people believe in. And I don't. I mean, I know it's. I don't want to say it's never fully caught on. Like it's a thing, right? But I mean, it's not. I don't. It's not as popular as it used to be. There's some like leaps of logic that you have to take to entertain the whole reincarnation thing. And there's some questions that are kind of hard to explain, like different population booms, right? There's more people living now than ever lived before. So how do the souls get divvied up? And now we're reincarnating Martians. Was he reincarnated? Was this his first time being reborn? Was he reborn some other time and had no memory of it? Why do some people have memories? What's the waiting period? Where do you go in between? Reincarnation is tricky, and the fact that that's what he's claiming is that he was he lived 1,000 years ago, and then was reincarnated into 1996. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, can you expand on that a little bit? Because that's kind of a pretty big leap in logic that you're asking your audience to make.
Yeah, I mean, why not be reincarnated back when they were inventing nuclear weapons to spread that message? For them to not even do it.
Or just not even that so much. Like, okay, you could talk about the timeliness of his arrival, but so if you're reincarnated, that means like what's the whole afterlife situation? I mean, Russians
Well,
are.
okay, I can tell you this, because out of all the religions I believe in, God is not real and reincarnation is, and there's scientific evidence to back that. And that scientific evidence is that energy can't be created nor destroyed. So when you die, the energy has to go somewhere. It doesn't just die with your body. So the energy just goes somewhere. Now, where does that energy go? It's not limited to Earth. It's throughout the entire fucking universe, multiverse, whatever it is you believe in. So you could be reincarnated in a galaxy far, far away on a different planet as a different species, as a tree, or something, because that energy has to go somewhere. So that's the basics. Is it instantaneous or does it take time to get there? I would like to think that it's pretty instantaneous and then you just die. And the person that you are now just does not exist anymore, including the memories of that. Why do some people hold on to the memories? I have no idea. But I mean, that's the logistics of reincarnation. I buy that part. That's not the part I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the fucking people that still live on Mars today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, okay, so you sign off on reincarnation. There's plenty of people that don't.
Sure.
So that doesn't bother you, but I think I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, obviously, I think his message is legit enough. Let's not blow each other up.
Yeah,
he comes with a message of peace.
Take care of your planet. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, whether it's bullshit or not. I agree with him.
Definitely people that encounter aliens, they usually have, I mean, as far as we know, stories like that, but I don't know. There's a lot here. There's a lot here, and it's kind of hard to sign off on it, or I guess he knew things no one else knew, so there's something to be said about that. But some of his claims about Mars are a little outlandish, and I don't know, man.
Some of us don't talk shit about Russians.
I'm not talking shit about Russians, but I think it's, his whole like, hey, I'm a Russian and I come from messages, like, I have messages from Mars and they say to, disarm all your nuclear weapons. It's like, okay, you first.
Yeah.
How about that? You guys first. And then it's the Mars thing. Mars never, it just seemed, like I said, it just sounds like a hackneyed 1950s plot, you know? Mars, do we really, like I said, what about everything that we've learned that suggests that these craft come from different dimensions? Or are they two different things? You know, are we being visited by being, you know, man, what if it's not just like one thing that's going on? What if we are completely blind to what we're living in right now? What if we are completely blind to it? Excuse me. And you have entire parts of the fossil record that are completely wrong, right? Civilization has risen up and fallen a half dozen times over a couple 100,000 of years, right? And there's people on Mars, and there's Venusians, and there's visitors from Landlos, and there's all this shit going on. And that's just from this fucking universe, right? Behind the veil, there's other universes with other aliens, and sometimes they just randomly fucking pop in places like, you know, Flatwoods or Van Meter or whatever. You know what I mean? Like these random one-off encounters, the vegetable man, that thing that ran across the road that the guy hit with his fucking car, you know, like all of that stuff. What if all of that stuff is true? And like, we honestly think that like our existence just involves us getting up and going to work every day and paying our taxes and getting our kids McDonald's on the way home from school because we're too fucking tired to cook. You know what I mean? And watching TV for 3 hours before you get high and fall asleep on the couch. And then you do it all over again the next fucking day. What if like reality as we know it, as we're taught in schools, is the biggest crock of shit. It's the biggest fucking smokescreen ever pulled over on anyone ever. And that's what we subscribe to. And this kid is just as fucking spot on about what he experienced and what he's saying as The Hills, as Travis Walton, as fucking the children at Fatima, as all this stuff. All these people are telling the fucking truth. And the story is just too big and crazy for us to wrap our heads around the unified theory of everything. You know? Maybe that's fucking it.
Are you just now realizing that, or?
No, I'm just now vocalizing it. I just now stopped eating my taco long enough
to
fucking get up on my soapbox. And this is why the government's got me putting tacos in my mouth, Ashers, is to keep me from speaking.
Sure, I mean, but, you know, that's the theory, is that we can't okay, I don't know, maybe that's not the theory, but like that's the theory, is that we can't understand these things because we are too infantile in our species to know and understand what these things are.
It doesn't matter that there's contradictions between this and that and the other one. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the contradictions are just what. And sometimes people get the details wrong. And let's not look for reasons for this shit not to be true.
Sure.
Let's approach every story. Let's approach every week's episode with the idea, the possibility that this shit is true. The other thing I got out of my second favorite part of the Museum of Science and History today was they have this whole exhibit that they promote as being about mirrors, but what it's really about is fractals, and how you have the golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequence, and how this stuff repeats itself through nature, right? To me, that's the biggest the biggest piece of evidence to suggest that we're living in some kind of simulation. You know, the fact that you have like this mathematical formula that seems to literally hold everything together. And maybe that's why there's all these crazy and seemingly unconnected plot threads, is because that's just, you know, a guy like me writing the D&D campaign that we're all living right now, that's drawing from a lot of different influences. You know what I mean? He's whoever's writing this shit is just fucking blazed a one hitter, and he's got his iPad on shuffle, and he's just fucking writing and coming up with all kinds of stuff. And it's kitchen sink, right? Yeah, there's fucking Martians, and there's Santa Claus, and the fucking Mothman. You know what I mean? And the poles are gonna fucking flip. And I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe there's that too.
I want to rename this episode. Pato catches up finally.
Pato's Big Awakening.
Oh, I'm not going to berate you. No, I mean, it's true though. I mean, that's
go ahead, call me a stupid bitch.
Dumb bitch. That's what it is.
I know, you dumb bitch.
Damn it, Pat.
That's the next t-shirt. That's the next
No,
fucking
it's
T-shirt right
not.
there.
It's not the next T-shirt. No, it's
Okay.
not. It's
All
not.
right.
Boundaries are only good if you enforce them. I'm enforcing them. So,
Yeah, that's my problem
um,
right there.
so anyway,
It's next
um,
week's lesson. Pedo learns how to have boundaries.
so anyway, but yeah, I mean that's again that's kind of the theory for a lot of us that work within these fields is that we can't understand it anyway. You know, and I personally, and I know other researchers and investigators personally do not expect to find those answers in our lifetime, and we may not ever. You know, because we're just that far behind. You know, unless one of these things come here and talk to some really important people, and make us understand it, we're just not going to know. We're just not going to know. And I hope for that, but it's not up to us to decide that. It's up to them, whoever they are. And they seem to be made up of many different species of many different walks of life. And they are choosing not to disclose that information to us. And maybe that's because they know the effect that it would have on our world to do that. So it's kind of irresponsible for them to do so. They just let us keep searching, and for whatever reason, they keep visiting. You know, you've mentioned a couple times. Well, why would they come here? What are they? You know, what are they visiting for? Well, again, we can't even possibly begin to know that. We just can't even speculate as to why. We don't understand it at all. It's like asking. It's like fucking traveling back 500 years into the past, and then you know them trying to understand our reasoning for doing so. They just won't grasp it. It's not part of their world. You know, but it's the same planet. You're not even talking about a different planet. You're just talking about a different time. And it's just not they're just not meant to know it, and that's what I think about all this weird stuff that happens. But as far as Bariska goes, I mean, I don't know, you'd think that by now, with us being on Mars and us having a live stream from Mars constantly, um you know, we would see some signs of civilization, but we haven't. And you know, again, I would love for him to be more of a focal point in all of this. And I think that it's very unfortunate that a lot more people aren't talking about this story, but maybe you will now. Maybe now that you've heard it here on Wednesdays We Talk Weird, you're going to go spread it around and make sure everybody knows about it. And we'll get this kid out of hiding and figure out what the fuck it is he knows.
Yeah, maybe he's from a Mars from a different
area, a whole different galaxy. Right.
Yeah, he's from Mars from the same dimension that had the Bernstein Bears, or you know, what was the other one that people always talk about? The you know, Mandela effect shit.
Yeah. What do you mean? The other one people talk about, Nelson Mandela? You mean?
No, there's one that's actually holds a little bit of water. Cause I'm like, no, I remember that stuff. I don't know, the fucking Different Strokes theme song or something.
Well, everybody's Mandela effect holds water to them. It's a personal, you know. So I don't know which one you subscribe to, but you know, there's a lot of them. Maybe one day we'll talk about those. I don't know. But just kind of go over different ones and do it. Maybe we'll do I don't know. Maybe we'll do something cool with the Patreon with that. But anyway, he could be from a different Mars, and he just is confused about where he's at because it's been 1,000 years since he's been there. So
yeah,
it's been a long time.
It's changed, bro.
You know, we don't even know what 1,000 years look like. You know?
Neighborhood has changed.
You have no idea what that even feels like. So, I mean, I can only imagine how Bariska feels being here 1,000 years later. So, but again, talk about this, you guys. Put it out there on social media. And I'm not just saying the show. I'm just saying the topic in general. Get it out there. I want more people talking about this. I want within the next month, I want other podcasts to steal this show from us and go do a show about it. Because I think it is so important.
I want this kid on the cover of Paranormality magazine.
Right. Get him on there. You know, let's bring this kid out of hiding. Let's ask him these questions. Let's ask him the important shit. And let's figure this out. Let's stop making him disappear because he's obscure and he's making obscure claims. Maybe there's some fucking truth to what he's saying. I'd love to hear it. You know, again, this is a story that's personal to me. It's one of my first really weird ones. You know, I like it. I want to hear more about it. So, you know, is it true? In my personal opinion, is it true? I want it to be. In my professional opinion, is it true? I don't fucking know. I have no idea. I wasn't there 1,000 years ago on Mars. Fucking know. I had no idea. But again, I really, really want it to be. There are holes in the story, but again, maybe he deviated the timeline. I don't know. Maybe he did his job, and now that's why he's not talking anymore. It's because he did it. He doesn't have to now. I don't know. So what the fuck's up with the Sphinx? What's going on there? He said that the blueprints for mankind are behind the ear of the Sphinx. What's in there? are there blueprints for mankind and the government found them and they're just hiding them from us? I don't know. Now I sound like fucking Alex Jones or some dumb shit. Sound crazy, but who knows? Anyway, anything else about the boy from Mars, Pato?
It looks like he's on Twitter.
Well, he's probably not really on Twitter. People make fake accounts of shit. You know how many Injured Cold accounts there are? And he's not on social media. He doesn't do that. So, I mean.
All right. Well, yeah, worth looking into, guys. Check it out.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys back here next Wednesday.